Hi, it's 1985, where drugs like marijuana were easier to obtain, and your name is Tilo. Wait, you mean that underground rapper from Stockton, California? Ew, no. You're a 14-year-old girl in high school, and your case just made it to the highest court of America.
The Supreme Court.
But how did this happen? Well, let's start at the beginning. You're smoking in the school bathroom with a friend. You know, how all freshman high schoolers do. Obviously. And all of a sudden, someone walks in and catches you smoking. So you deny it, obviously. But they don't believe you. And the vice principal demands to search your purse. So you oblige, obviously. And what do they find? Cigarettes, materials used to smoke marijuana, and a list of students who owe you money?
That's suspicious.
So now you've been caught, and you're charged in juvenile court. So you do the only logical thing one can do in this situation. You fight it, and you say your Fourth Amendment right was violated, which should have protected you from unreasonable searches, but the court doesn't care, and they find you guilty. So, that was the background behind the New Jersey vs. Tilo case. Now, let's hop to another case that happened in 2009, which was the Safford vs. Redding case. It's about this girl, Savannah Redding, who was accused by another student of having ibuprofen on her. Yes, ibuprofen. So the school did what they thought was most necessary and fully strip searched a 13-year-old kid? Now obviously, Savannah felt violated, so she sued the school on the basis that her Fourth Amendment right was violated. To the extreme, and the case went through multiple courts before it got to the Supreme Court. Now, in both of these cases, these teens felt that their Fourth Amendment rights were violated, and both involved drugs or medication of some kind that were the reason they were searched. But the actual arguments are unclear, so let's explain it in the best way possible.
Objection! These cases are very different, and clearly are products of different situations, one being a justified use of power, the other being an abuse of it. Hold it!
You're understating what really happened. They strip searched a student over some ibuprofen.
You be what?
While it's true that those cases are different, that doesn't change the fact that a student's privacy was invaded in each one.
Well, you may be right. You have to understand the history of this policy. It wasn't implemented so that some people with questionable motives could abuse their power. It was actually implemented in that very same first case of New Jersey vs. TLO, after awareness was spread about the necessity.
Duh, of course, but the ruling from that case is not only outdated, it's totally naive. It doesn't even consider the possibility of what we saw in Safford vs. Redding, of a trusted official totally misusing the power entrusted to them.
Well, one could argue that was the effect of New Jersey vs. TLO, but I'd say otherwise. In fact, I'd say New Jersey v. TLO didn't cause Safford v. Redding, it simply sped up the legislation that would have happened anyway. I believe that regardless of whether NJ v. TLO ever happened, school officials would search students anyway, in a much less polite manner. New Jersey v. TLO simply gave us a start on the legislation so we can build it and put more safeguards in as time goes on.
Objection! You're saying that without legislation, the school officials would search students anyway, but that's missing the point. If they search students without constitutional case backing them, they would have no ground to stand on. We need to amend this so that school officials are not agents of the state, since they clearly aren't qualified to have the responsibility of searching students.
So we should just flip everything on its head to fix one problem? Listen, at the end of the day, in New Jersey v. TLO, in many cases like it, there's actually a reason to search students because something was found. We should accept that we have a long way to go with this legislation and move on.
So by saying that, you're basically saying the ends justify the means, when clearly that isn't true at all.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the schools have a right to search students' backpacks and such if they suspect they have something bad in there. After all, it's their duty to uphold a safe school environment for learning.
Cornball.
What?
Anyways, that school environment is clearly not safe when school officials abuse their power to strip search students, and that's something we should all be able to agree on.
You're right. We do both agree that there should be no abuse of power, but I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on how to get it done.
Sorry, I was asleep. What's going on?